Today's discussion point is attorney review. What it is, what it means for the buyer, the seller, and the bidder. So attorney review is a period after you sign the contract, but before you're committed to the other party. New Jersey does things completely different than the rest of the world, where when you make an offer that gets accepted, it means that you've done a contract and both the buyer and seller have signed the contract, and at that point it goes to the attorneys to make any changes or corrections or negotiations to the contract. That's the attorney review period. Once you're out of review, that means that you've signed off on all the changes, and so has the other party, buyer and seller signed off on them, and then both parties are then committed. There are a couple of rules around that if you reach out to me, I'll be happy to go through, but in general, that's the way it works. It usually takes anywhere from a day to a week to get through all the changes, depending on how motivated the parties are, how complex the changes are, and how available the attorneys are. But so during that time, either party, while you're in review before you sign the rider, either party can walk away, no questions asked, no penalty. So that means a buyer can walk away, a seller can walk away. Buyers, you should be concerned that in a hot market, that somebody else can come in, and that maybe you were the only person bidding on a home, and then you start attorney review, and maybe you get a little discount on the home, who knows. Another party does come in, and now all of a sudden there's a second bidder, and now your negotiation point is much weaker. So therefore, it might cost you more money because all of a sudden you delayed in your attorney review, somebody else came in. In a buyer's market, a seller has to really be concerned that, hey, you started down this road, and if it's taking you too long to come to a negotiation point, that buyer's out there looking at other homes, that buyer gets cold feet, they walk away. So there's risk on both sides, which is why if a buyer wants a home and a seller wants to sell the home, my recommendation is you get local attorneys, use your realtor's recommendations, get local attorneys who work with each other. It makes the process go smoother, faster. Trust me, you bring in somebody from the outside, it goes slower, it's more difficult, it's more likely that the deal will end up falling apart in attorney review. And then the last part of this whole equation is the outside bidder. So now you have a buyer and a seller that are in attorney review. They've agreed on the price, and they've agreed on the down payment, they've agreed on the closing date in principle, and now they're working out the details. And it's taking a little bit longer than maybe each party would want for whatever reasons. And now another bidder comes into the process. So now sometimes that will result in the first buyer losing the property, and sometimes it won't. But here's the thing, my big piece of advice for that outside bidder, and this is where a lot of agents make mistakes, is that they will come in. Now, once a buyer and a seller are in attorney review, it's sort of like they're engaged to each other. They're not quite married, but they are engaged. And it takes a lot for one party to break off that engagement. An outside bidder that comes in, they better be much stronger and much more aggressive with their offer than they would have been had they been the only person. And knowing that the other person is engaged, they should be extremely aggressive because they really only have one shot at it. If you as the outside bidder say, well, I'll come in with a lower bid, and then if they don't accept it, I will up my bid, you've lost out. You get one shot at it. By then, honestly, the seller's like, look, they're not that serious. They came in they knew that we were engaged, and they didn't really bring their best, and now they want to keep upping it. There's just too much risk to the seller at that point. So if you're a buyer, you want to hustle up in attorney review. If you're a seller, you want to hustle up. And if you're an outside bidder, you better come in strong, you better come in hard, you better have a good agent that knows how to help you manage that process. This has been today's discussion point.